Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Tinker, and this is my final presentation for Geo 120. And it's on transforming ocean water to meet the world's water needs. Water needs right now. Here in the United States, over 2 million Americans lack access to running water. Poor rural minorities are most likely to be affected by this issue. Native Americans are 19 times more likely to live without running water. Supply, and this is for the whole planet. Only 1% of the Earth's water supply is available as fresh drinking water. 99% is in salt-filled oceans, or it's fresh water, but it's frozen in the polar ice caps. The water use by Americans. The average American family uses more than 300 gallons of water a day, and 70% of that water used is indoors. That's taking showers, flushing toilets, running dishwashers, washing machines, things of that nature. A vast majority of the water doesn't get used to nourish our bodies, which is the problem for many people in other countries. They don't even have enough water to drink daily, let alone the excess that we here in the United States have. Around the globe, 780 million people worldwide are without access to improved drinking water source. That's improved drinking water source includes piped household connection, public standpipe, a borehole, protected spring, and a protected dug well. There's a big problem with death and disease worldwide, and it's fully related to the lack of fresh water. 88% of deaths from diarrheal disease is caused from a lack of unsafe drinking water, inadequate availability of water for hygiene, and a lack of overall sanitation. An estimated 801,000 children younger than the age of 5 die each year from diarrhea. And these are all preventable illnesses. And they're all preventable if people have fresh drinking water. Fresh water to live every day, like we get out of our faucet. Salt water. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by saltwater oceans. Salt water is undrinkable by humans and animals, but it can be desalinated and used for fresh water. Desalination is possible. The United States desalinates ocean water on a relatively small scale, and it's on a state-by-state basis, because here in the U.S. we don't need to do that. We have plenty of fresh water to use, but there's other countries worldwide that can desalinate their water and use it. Predominantly drier countries, it's much more, they use it more often. For example, in the Middle East, Israel relies on desalinated ocean water for 40% of its domestic supply of drinking water. Methods of desalination. There's two big ones. It's reverse osmosis and distillation. Osmosis it's the passage or diffusion of water or other solvents through a semi-permeable membrane that blocks the passage of dissolved solutes. So, what they do, water always wants to try and find an equilibrium. So, they put salt water with fresh water, and automatically it tries to equalize itself, and it gets that salt out of there. Reverse osmosis, which many people have in their faucets and their sinks, it's exactly the opposite of osmosis. Naturally, the pure water will want to mix and equalize with the salt water. When it's reversed, pressure is applied to that salt water, and it is forced through a semi-permeable membrane, and in doing so, the salt is separated from the water, leaving it drinkable to people and animals. The problem is the cost is expensive. Desalinated water by reverse osmosis costs about $2,000 per acre foot, roughly the amount of water a family of 5 uses in a year. Double the cost of obtaining new water by other methods, like building new reservoirs, recycling water, wastewater, and offering incentives for farmers and homeowners to use less water. The reverse osmosis plant in Carlsbad, California produces 1 gallon of fresh water for every 2 gallons of seawater. The problem is it uses 38 megawatts a day of electricity, enough to power 28,500 homes. So the issue is that the energy that it costs to desalinate water is very high comparable to, like I said, you can power 28,500 homes with the amount of energy that a desalination plant costs and uses each day. There's another method, it's called distillation, and that's the act of purifying a liquid by heating and cooling it. And it's the oldest method of purifying water. Water is heated and put to varying pressures to correctly evaporate out anything in the water that is not pure and good for drinking, like salt, for instance. The cost for distillation. Large-scale operations that produce 100,000 cubic meters of water per day roughly cost $100 million. That's to build a plant, a distillation plant. This amount will serve 300,000 people. Plus the cost of distribute. That's not even including distributing the water. That's just desalinating the water and making it. That's not including distributing it to people. Problems. Both ways of desalination cost a lot of money. Many of the countries around the world that are having water supply issues are already poor. They're not like the US, and they have money problems already. Also, other problems in a very carbon conscious world, many of these plants, they use a lot of fossil fuels, coal and oil and gas to things to power themselves. And in the world we live in today, we're in a very green world, and that is looked down upon. Other problems is these plants, they use large intake pipes to suck salt water out of the oceans. And even though they have filters on them, they oftentimes they suck in small fish and microorganisms and things like that the ocean needs and animals in the ocean need to feed on, and it kills them. Also, another problem is that once they desalinate the ocean water, there's a salty brine that's left over that's almost over twice the amount of salt content that came originally from the ocean. So a lot of times these companies, they just dump this salty brine water back into the ocean, but when they do that too much, the animal ocean life can't live in that area because it's too salty. Solutions to this problem is the governments of these lesser to do countries need to prioritize their people and prioritize the water issue and put those needs before their own. A lot of these smaller countries they have corrupt governments and things like that, and they need to prioritize their citizens and spending the money on these desalination plants to give their people more fresh water to drink. And also they need to make these desalination technologies more affordable for these countries to be able to use. So that's my presentation for desalination. Thank you.